Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. With me today is Matt.
Hey, special guest Matt finally made call
Matt's
time.
here. Adam.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello.
And sadly today we're missing Kent and Courtney and Ruthie. There's a bunch of sickness and stuff going around, but you know.
But we have Matt and Adam.
But we have Matt and Adam, you know.
Like,
gotta make it happen.
I love everybody else, but we haven't had Matt and Adam in a while.
I know.
Yeah, Matt's missed a few. I missed two. So
Adam's in a new location.
I'm in the same basement. I'm just in a different spot because my basement is in a disarray from Thanksgiving and having people over and stuff. So,
are you in like the closet? Are you like in the bathroom or something?
No, I'm just at the dining room table. It's in the basement.
Nice.
I don't know, man. That looks like a Chutes and Ladders that you play while taking a deuce.
That's
just like
it's the only way to play, honestly.
Yeah,
right?
You haven't heard of Chutes and Ladders poops? It's
right?
It's a thing. It's like a GI health thing.
Yeah.
It's like an exercise.
Yeah. Take your
You
time.
got like your laptop set up on the back of the toilet, and then you're just like, front facing the toilet, just looking at. Man, I love that look, bro.
It's like better than fiber, really.
Right?
Yeah. These shoots represent a healthy intestinal tract. So,
Love it.
Shoots and poops.
Yeah.
Well,
Coming this fall, Restoration Games.
There's our Restoration Games, man.
There you go.
Beautiful. Yeah. So sorry, I'm a little bit orange because this light is really warm, so I look a little jaundiced. Don't worry.
Well, I'm also missing the free movie in the background that we don't get flagged for that you always play.
I know.
There's black and white theme. Like, what's going on, man?
There's no There's no old westerns or Mary Shelley Frankenstein back there. Yeah. Sorry. Maybe next time I'll have it all set up. I hadn't recovered.
Make it happen.
This was set up so that my nephew could play some Xbox here. They could all be playing down here at once. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was like an old school LAN party down here with all the nephews.
Hey,
oh, that's cool.
I miss those parties.
Right? It was pretty sweet.
But yeah, I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving. And our topic tonight is going to be raising gamers, because I played a ton of kids games with my kids. And I thought it would be a good topic, seeing that all of us have a lot of experience playing games with kids. Right, Matt? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Just a lot of take the blocks out of the box, put the blocks back in the blocks.
Hey, that does happen. That is
say colors.
That's a start.
I mean, it's pretty solid.
That's a start.
Fuzzies actually is pretty good for somebody that young, which is wild to me.
Fuzzies.
Yeah, that one's
It's on
awesome.
my list. I need to get it.
Stacky game.
I buy everything else around it. Like, I constantly add it to the cart and then delete save for later, and then I'll buy around it, and then I come back to them like, man, I should just go and pick it up because it's not even that expensive, and then it's still there. It's still just like in the, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
All right. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get into some news things here. I have a couple different news things I added in here. The first one is Universal Monsters Unchained. This is a remake of one of the very first deck building games called Nightfall. I don't know if you guys ever remember Nightfall, or if you guys have ever played Nightfall, but it's a vampires versus werewolf themed game that had this interesting chaining mechanic where you'd have to play certain cards before other cards to get them to combo together. But this is even before Marvel Legendary, So this is one of the very first deck building games. But the remake, it's coming back from Trick or Treat Studios. So I just thought this was an interesting game. And the fact that it's the whole Universal Monsters theme is pretty cool too.
Yeah. I like the Did you say this is related to Horrified? Sorry, because I'm all unset up, I'm not logged into the drive, so I'm not looking at it.
Oh, no. This is from Trick or Treat Studios. It is just straight up Universal Monsters themed, but it's coming through Trick or Treat Studios, and that's why I was a little bit confusing. But it's called Unchained, and this is their remake of Nightfall, which was one of the deck building games that came out really, really early on when things started coming out. I feel like it came out right around the same time Ascension did, which was forever ago. I think Ascension ultimately was definitely way more popular than Nightfall, and Nightfall was a lot more combative, you know? So this is one where you're kind of like playing out all of your cards and then going backwards and kind of like activating all of the cards that you played, and you kind of have to combo all the different stuff together. Just like most deck building games, but it had cards that you had to like, I guess there are like suns and moons that you kind of had to match up with the different cards as you're going through. So it'll be interesting to see how Trick or Treat Studios has kind of like re-implemented this in the whole like straight up Universal Monsters theme. I thought the cover was pretty interesting too, of all the different Universal monsters beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah. I feel like I love the Universal monsters just in general, and I don't know if it's just like, is it a crazy expensive IP? Like, I don't understand. I feel like
it might be royalty free. That might be why people are. Oh wait, no. I guess Universal.
Yeah, Universal still has it, I'm sure. I just think Trick or Treat Studios is good about getting those IPs these days, because they did Halloween, and they've done several other games that seem like they're kind of like, and they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they're getting these horror themes and actually like making games out of it and sticking to their Trick or Treat brand.
It's crazy.
Trick or treat.
Cool.
Yeah, they're the one that I think we talked about a few months back, and they've got just a wild plethora of like metal monster looking games, right? That they've produced over the years.
Yeah,
like all the art looks like old school comic book illustrations and stuff. So,
and I think the studio started from a guy who like his main gig was like making monster masks for like different companies and different movies and things like that. And then he just started doing Trick or Treat Studios because he's really into board games. The monster masks. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The next game on the docket is Foundations of Metropolis. We may have talked about this before, but this is basically Foundations of Rome, but a kind of like a retail version of it. It doesn't have all of the 3D minis, it doesn't have all the different stuff, it doesn't have the expansion stuff in there, but it's just a way more accessible version of the game, just because it'll be way less expensive. Have you guys played Foundations of Rome?
Not yet, but I want to. It looks phenomenal.
It's sitting in my floor.
Yeah, I want to play it.
I need to play it, but I haven't got around to it.
It's one of those games. I played it as a prototype when Emerson had it, and like it was really fun. It's like you're drafting, or you're like bidding for these lots and winning these lots of land, and then based on the lots you have, you can build different shaped buildings, and where buildings are, they kind of combo together to give you points and things like that. Super, super solid game. But then when I saw the production of Foundations of Rome, I'm like, holy smokes. After having played it with like paper and be like, oh, this is fun. And then be like, holy smokes, this game is produced. It was crazy, but people love it. I mean, they had a $1 million Kickstarter campaign, and like it's just done super well for them. I mean, it won like several production awards. It won like a lot of things of just people just being really excited about that game. You know, it was on a lot of people's best of the year lists and things like that.
If the box wasn't so big, I probably would have owned it by now, because I will buy a game just on looks. Like I haven't played Rolling Heights yet, but I saw Matt playing Rolling Heights a couple months ago, and I was like, this looks amazing. And so I bought Kent's copy of Rolling Heights. So,
nice.
Foundations of Metropolis, if it's not as big as
I think it's going to be a regular Ticket to Ride size box. And they're going to just have, I mean, it's not going to have the miniatures at all. It's going to be cardboard, like tiles, you know, so, but the price point will be drastically less, I'm sure. I think this is kind of like
wasn't the first one $200?
Yeah, something like that. But also it not only did like the miniatures look really cool, also the box production was really cool too, because like each player's trays are in there, and then when you take the pieces out, what you see underneath the tray is like your income and all of that stuff. It was just really, really nice. So
I remember, I can't remember which con it was, but I remember being at a con and people picking up their copies of Foundation of Rome, and they're in these huge boxes. And I remember like, oh man, how many games did you just buy? One. Oh man, massive. Right there. Oh no, this is just my one game. I just bought one game. I was like, my goodness, how big is this box? But
I think it made Dice Tower, because Kent was debating on buying it like most of the weekend. He was like, I should get this. I should get this. I should.
Yeah, they've sold pallets and pallets of this game, or pallets and pallets of Foundation of Rome. And when I say pallets and pallets, I mean they sold like 5 copies. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
5 whole pallets. Crazy.
But no, this game has made Emerson very, very happy. So I'm sure that the Foundations of Metropolis will do well and give it a more accessible and approachable version of the game for people who want to play a game with those mechanics, but don't necessarily need all the blinged out version of it. So
Man, I tell you what, Emerson's really got the market cornered on games that do well that get a spin-off that's a different theme. That's the exact same game that
There's
also goes on to do really well.
There's gonna be 4 more Foundations games, and then a Foundations big box.
Yeah.
Dude, that would, you know what? It'd be kind of dope.
I mean, I'd buy it.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. There you go.
The prequel will be like, it'll just be called Foundation Wheel, like when the wheel was invented.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, and then okay.
It's like a year,
Foundations of Fire.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ooh, I would play a caveman version of Foundations of Rome.
Oh yeah, kind of like a paleo-looking board.
Yeah, you got to build up your little village.
This is my cave
settlement.
What is it? What's the game type called? Like junk art when you're stacking stuff on top of each other.
Dexterity.
Is that a dexterity?
Dexterity.
Yeah. So the Foundation, the caveman, is a dexterity sort of building game too. Since you only have rocks.
Yeah, you
got to like build it, and if it stays in well, like you get paid longer the longer your foundation stays.
It's the same size.
You better not talk about it too much on the podcast, or Emerson will steal it just like he stole your Halloween game. No, I'm just kidding.
Emerson, are you back in? Emerson, are you here?
He's not
Don't
here.
steal
I'm
it.
sure.
Don't steal it.
That'd be hilarious.
We're gonna have to get let's get Emerson back in chat one of these days. It's been a long time.
I could get him on the show. I'm pretty sure, pretty easily.
Oh, we should.
Well, why don't you do this?
I haven't talked to Emerson in so long.
You have a great responsibility. You're our Peter Piper. You're our Peter Parker. You have all this power, Roy. Abuse it.
I mean, who do you want on the show? I could get someone on the show.
Just Emerson. Emerson.
The main thing is we normally have like 80 people on the show, so when we add a guest, it's kind of like hard to give them even airtime because there's like 80 of us. But you know,
let's get Jamie Stegmeyer and not tell Kent, and then he'll just pop.
Oh yeah, dude. We'll just do it on a day when Kent.
Be like, happy birthday, Kent.
I recently had a Facebook interaction with Jamie because he told me that he bought Last Light because I was like joking with him. Because I posted a thing about Apiary, which is the game I'm talking about today, being like, oh yeah, the bees are named the same thing, ha ha ha. And I'm like, and somebody said like something about it, and I'm like, well, Jamie will know when he plays his copy that he bought of Last Light, ha ha ha, just joking. And I actually added Jamie, and Jamie's like, well, I actually did back it. I'm like, what? Jamie Stegmeyer replied to me. I don't know why I still get excited about that stuff, but it's still fun.
You could get him on and we not tell Kent.
Yeah, that's great.
That would be amazing. I'd love to see his face. I bet he's already kind of quiet, but I bet he'd just sit there just the whole time just smiling. Like
the best thing would be is if he like was late with his Lorcana thing per normal. and then Courtney had to message him and be like, babe, Jamie Stegmeyer's on the show. Why am I not there?
Guys, I lost the last round. I just left.
That would be hilarious.
That would be great.
Honestly, though, I don't know that Kent would throw a game of Lorcana even for Jamie Stegmeyer.
He's pretty into Lorcana.
And he's pretty into Jamie Stegmeyer. Like, when Stegmeyer would go live, I used to go into the chats just and be like, hey, Kent. Like, I wouldn't even talk, like, ask Jamie a question. I'd just be like, hey, Kent, are you here? Because he's always there.
That's hilarious.
I'd have to update my LinkedIn profile. I think the last time I checked my LinkedIn profile is when we did our show years ago. And I was stalking people.
Oh, man, I forgot about that.
That was fun. It was weird.
Well, my next thing here is, you wonder why Last Light's in the news. Well, we actually did announce during the Game Found, they have like the Game Found Foundry or something like that just happened, I guess, where they announced several really cool things. But one of them is the fact that Last Light's going to be coming back to Game Found so that more people can get a chance to buy the deluxe version of the game in January. And I know a lot of people are like, I want this game. Well, we need to actually reprint it. So we're going to bring it back. And they'll have like people who back the original campaign can still back this and get some promo aliens and things like that. Nothing too crazy or anything like that. But if people want to get like the resin planets or extra dice or things like that, they can also get that sort of thing as well.
I did not get the glow planet. I think
the glow in the dark dice or the light up planet, the light up star.
Yeah, I think like there's like a couple of little promo stuff I did not get.
Yeah,
but, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get all the dice when y'all reprint it,
bro. We played. I know I'm gonna talk about it later, but we played my deluxe copy, and I'm so glad I bought.
Or 7?
What?
You got a 7 or 8 play in, didn't you? Like a big.
We played 5.
It's 5.
Oh,
we played 5, but I'm so glad I bought extra dice. It was just so nice.
It does speed it up a little bit if you're able to just like pass around. And if you play with 8 players or whatever, you get the dice for the expansion as well, so that helps.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the glow in the dark dice are pretty cool.
Well, man, how are you ready for all this advertising and all this stuff that you're doing? Because you blew up last night, so you got.
Dude, it is kind of crazy. Did you guys see that it was
that post?
Well, the fact that it was the most played game at Board Game Geek Con, and I wasn't even there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They said it was checked out of their library 83 times, and they had 2 copies of it on the hot games table. And I almost just don't even believe people, because like that seems insane to me. That's like so surreal. But like even Aldi was like, oh yeah, it's being played everywhere, and he's like the head of Board Game Geek. Like he didn't message me. He like posted on my things where he's like, yeah, it's everywhere, and people kept tagging me in pictures.
And I've told this to several people. If I ever start a new company or if I ever create anything and I need to do social media marketing, name your price. I'm hiring Roy Canada. Well, like I think that is so amazing, all the interaction that you do with all the people and all the stuff that you do. Like I was even telling that to Matthew. I was like, Matthew, we could create this, but we're gonna hire Roy to do our marketing, and we'll be set. Like if Roy does our marketing, we will make it. So
it's kind of weird because a lot of times I do stuff through like being stupid or joking, like the whole Euro thing for like the longest time. Like people were raving about last night with that, and now like there's all sorts of different things. It's always just fun to like make fun of it in different ways. Like I try to market through making fun of myself a little bit, So
I think you're making fun of yourself.
No, but it's fine.
I think it was just good marketing, and look how many sold. So I'm excited. Now, can you?
And it's
give us
number 1 on the
insider
Board Game Geek
exclusive?
hotness right now, which is also insane for 3 days. Which is kind of
Is there
crazy.
any insider exclusive? Like, is there going to be any new stuff on the new campaign?
So there is going to be, I think, how many different aliens did we do? We did.
Oh gosh,
we did several new aliens or whatever. So new like aliens for a thing. And I know if you back it or whatever, you can get those. But I think previous backers can back as well. Also, they messed up the some of the tokens. They're the wrong size. And if you back the new one, you'll get the new aliens, and they'll send you out the like repaired tokens or the correct size tokens, which really sucks. I mean, but mistakes happen, I guess, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not going to be any. It's like basically almost a straight reprint. They're just like cleaning up a couple things, but that's about it. Yeah. All the mechanics are still the exact same and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy there. But I'm excited to have it get back in more people's hands, because I think that. A lot of people didn't realize, how like excited people would be about the game, and now that they're seeing it, I get messages constantly about people not being able to get the game, and so it'll give people an opportunity to just get the game.
That was what I was going to say. I'm friends with somebody on Discord, and I was sharing pictures of the game day that I had at Rob's house, and I was like, yeah, I got to play last night. And then the person that I'm friends with is like, oh, I work for a distributor, and we cannot keep the game on the shelf. They were like, every single retail store that like we have is just like, you got any more copies of this? Can we please? Right. And it was just like, dang, that's crazy.
Gray Fox told me that they made a deal to get like 3,000 more copies straight into distribution, and I think those are already like, so, but Shane also told me, he's like, we're just going to keep printing it as many times as we can sell it. So we're just going to do
town,
it,
I need you to sign my box so I can sell it off real quick before the next pound.
Before January,
money, and then back it again and just get all the same stuff again. We'll make that $500 so dollars. I'll be like, this has Roy's DNA on it. Buy this now.
I'm pretty sure you can look at the pictures on on eBay and forge it pretty easily. It's just a little scribble. I'm just kidding.
No. Next time you're in town for something, I'll be like,
look at the real one.
It's fine.
Okay, so I have until January. Crap, it's not a lot of time. All right, we need to meet up soon.
Not to beat this up, because I know Rob's going to talk about playing it, but seeing it go on to the hotness didn't surprise me, Roy, and I'm not going to even say nice things about you because you've heard it. The thing about the game, and having now, I finally took it off my table upstairs. It was set up for like 5 days. Here's the thing about the game. and I hadn't played in a while. I never played it on Tabletop Simulator. I only ever played it in person, So I had a huge gap in playing it, and for a game that is a crowd-funded game, the thing that it does really well, and I will go out on a limb and pretend you're not my friend, which I know is empirically hard to do, but it is a game that looks like a big Kickstarter game found game when it's on your table, but the rule book is inherently quick to get through.
Right. Yeah.
The powers and the abilities are inherently easy to understand because they're basically on the cards, and the game just plays really easy. And on top of that, the second time you play the game, you play a completely different game. I played I think I didn't throw it in this week, but I played Cosmic Encounters 2 weeks ago with a bunch of people who hadn't played before. I texted you guys about the wild interaction I had where I yelled at somebody who I hadn't played with, like, out of excitement. And it reminds me a lot of like when you played Cosmic Encounter. And I mean, obviously they're very, very different games, but thematically, and then just the idea that no two games of Cosmic Encounter are the same. I feel like Last Light kind of does a little bit of that in a more tactical way. So it's no surprise because all these nerds like us who buy these games, then it takes you 3 months to get it on the table. This game is not difficult to get on the table. So the reason people, I think, are really excited, and this is a testament to the design, is the production quality is awesome and the game plays. It's a playable game that's accessible to pretty much everybody. I mean,
the game board spins. The game board spins.
Right.
When you say anything else, the game board spins.
There's
it matters.
It's flipped me out a lot because the Cosmic Encounter guys like all of my posts, and Bill Eberly, who's one of the guys who designed Cosmic Encounter, like said really nice things. Like, I don't think he's played. He just said like things about like, oh man, like having people being able to interact with the game or whatever, and you're playing against the other players, not just with the game, is a game that like stands the test of time and stuff like that. And then he like reposted where I posted, somebody said something really nice about the campaign or whatever, and like Bill Eberly reposted that. I'm like, he's one of the main guys from Cosmic Encounter. It's just crazy to me that he's like interacting with Last Light so much. It's, I don't know, it's because like those guys are kind of like a big like, I mean, they basically paved the way for asymmetrical powers and things like that. And they've been in the industry for like so long. I grew up playing Dune, I didn't play Cosmic Encounter until like I had a game group and like way later in my life. But Cosmic Encounter came out before I was born, and people are still playing it, so it's crazy.
That game's ancient. It's not the same game at all, but having played them so back to back this last week, because like I think I played Cosmic and then Last Light showed up 3 days later for me. Like, there's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's not, outside of like the aliens having some similarities, like some of the, you know what I mean? Like just sci-fi. I don't know. We can talk about it more when we get to Rob's play, but I do think that there's like and I mean this as the highest compliment to the game, there's a vibe that it feels similar to playing Cosmic Encounters. Like, what's going to happen this time,
Right. And I have had people complain about like, oh, this is not balanced, and what if somebody gets this power? Somebody like messaged me, is like, if I have this specific alien and I pull this tech, it seems really good. And I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Good luck. Cool, man. Everybody at the table better band against you or you're probably going to win. And if you win, you found an awesome combo. You know what? You might not get that alien next time, and you're probably not going to get that text next time,
I was going to say, there's 42 aliens and 200 tech cards. Good luck.
And I've seen people try to be like, well, I really wish I could get the specific tech I wanted and like buy the specific tech out of the deck. I'm like, no, some of them are overpowered on purpose. You have to like take the chance on what you're going to draw. And then the other people say, crap, he got that tech. Get him. That's what I kind of want the game to be, but some people want to play it as a Euro game where they don't interact with each other, and then they just kind of like have one person win, and that's just kind of going to be the way they play the game, But I mean, it's really made to be a highly interactive game. So
yeah, it's not for those people. I mean, which is fine,
right?
But you're not building a tableau where you can not look up at the other person, like you said. Having played it, like I've had people run away, but then like you can be like, hey, we're doing a triple command next turn. It's triple command. We're getting onto the inner ring, and like you do it.
This is a game for table talk. Like this game, you need to table talk, and you need to jump on somebody. And sometimes the game becomes a all versus one game, and then somebody else pulls in the lead, and it's all versus them, And also has ways to where even if you're like getting smashed, you can still find ways to come back. The ships are super cheap, and stuff like that. I try to make it where, it's easy to build your stuff back up if you get crushed. So I don't know. it's been fun seeing different people's reaction to it. It's been a little bit divisive in some ways, but it's been overall, even the people that are like, I really wish it was more balance here and there, but it's still amazing, which is kind of weird too as well, so I don't know. But yeah,
That's all right.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things go.
Your next game will have a wheat and wine theme, I'm sure. Will be.
Yeah, no, that's not me.
All be well in the world.
There we go. Well, our next game here is a game on GameFound that is Nemesis Retaliation. Have you guys looked at the campaign page for this?
Yeah.
They're making all the money.
Yep.
Last time I looked at it, they were making $4.5 million. I haven't looked at it recently. I'm sure they're making way more than this. I mean, we've talked about Nemesis a ton of times. Rob has talked about Nemesis and actually wanting to maybe play a copy of Nemesis, but also wanting to just play it online instead, But yeah, Awakened Realms is killing it with this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not good. The game looks amazing
right now.
To me, the game reminds me of the game reminds me of Level 7 Omega Protocol. I'm getting those vibes from it at least. It's not going to be, I guess, like as big as Level 7 Omega Protocol, because when you played that, you had to play. It was one versus many, and you played multiple rounds. And by like the fourth or fifth round, that's when the alien guy got pretty hardcore. That's when he got pretty strong. Where on this one, it looks like it's all co-op, and you're going against the app or however they're going to do it. But I don't think it's going to build like the certain missions did, like on Level 7 Omega Protocol. So we'll see. I told myself not to back this one. I don't want to back this one. I've backed it, then unbacked it, and then backed it and unbacked it multiple times. I'm trying not to, man.
I'm sorry we're talking about it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Look, man, I'll probably get it, and so we can look at it and never play it like all the other Nemesis games that we have.
I have Nemesis
this one
too.
looks like it'll hit the table, though. This one looks like it'll hit the table more than the other Nemesis.
That's how they get you.
It plays a little easier. Yeah.
Well, I think hopefully, too, they came out with the app for both the original Nemesis and Lockdown that's supposed to help streamline it a little bit more. So, like, maybe if they already knew going into this that they were going to do that, they have app integration out of the box, which makes it just that much faster.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
It's Mansions of Madness treatment. It needs it so bad.
Oh, for sure.
What gets me the most is the price isn't that bad.
No, 109 for the core. Yeah.
Right? 109, like, but now $100 is still $100. Like, that's
a lot of box for 109, man.
But that's a lot of box for 109, especially when you know an Awakened Realms game.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's a lot of box, and to be
their
honest,
minis are ridiculously good too.
Their minis are gorgeous, and I just think
10 pounds of plastic.
Even if I just got the base game, because there's so much in the games. Like I'm kind of glad I sold my other Nemesis stuff. Because it's like, I don't think I would ever add in any of the expansion stuff because there's already so much. But even just the base game at 109 with all the stuff that you can get. And what's so cool is because it's like an open world concept, the game's never the same twice. You're never going to, unless you just follow play by play the exact same moves. The problem is I'm also all in on Deceased right now. And that ends in like 2 days. And this ends.
Oh, wow.
This ends in like 7 days or 15 days left.
Did they unlock a bunch of cool stuff for Deceased? I didn't end up like going back and I haven't checked it in a while.
Amazing. I'm so excited for Deceased.
Dude, all the stuff just came into the studio for Marvel Zombie side. And man, Marvel Zombies, and the stuff looks so cool. I'm like, man, it just looks ridiculously good.
Yeah, and I might be getting my hands on a Marvel Zombies soon.
Yes, Matt has it.
It's just sitting.
Is it literally in the box? You haven't even opened it out of the box?
Yeah. Nah. Me and Rob have an arrangement. I backed it, and then one of the previous topics you guys talked about when I wasn't here was about culling games, and I was just the whole time I've been like, why did I get this? I haven't played Black Plague, and I have everything for it. Like, what am I? What am I doing? So Rob was interested in it, and I was like, I mean, we could, do a thing.
Yeah, I know Rob was saying he wanted it, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and technically, if Rob has it, you can still play it.
Right. That's it. It's staying in the family, technically.
And Matt, didn't you go like all in on the pledge?
Yeah. I went stupid because I.
How many boxes are there?
3. But one of them's just Galactus. So like, yeah.
Bro, I'm so excited. After I got off the phone with you earlier, I called Marlo and I was like, "Hey, babe, listen. So
getting a deal.
You get mad. I know I already did this for Deceased, but listen. So you don't have to give me Christmas. But listen, here's what I just did." She's like, "Babe, what'd you do?" I was like, "No, but it's a deal. It's a deal." So I know we're not talking about that right now. Nemesis Retaliation looks amazing. I just
man.
Between Deceased.
Those Marvel miniatures look amazing.
I can jump on, but I might be able to jump on it in 2 weeks.
I mean, board games are getting expensive. Like, can you think back to like episode 50 us when we were like, man, 120 is real steep for a Kickstarter.
Bro, I was flipping out on the first one I ever backed, Blood Rage, $70. Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
And then when they came in with the digital game that we backed and then got all the extras, it was like $100 more. I paid more. Plastic and a playmat. Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing, though. Like, and I know we're going to talk about this in our show a little bit about raising gamers, but I'll spend more on a board game because if you keep it up, it will retain its value. It's not like the things are just going to fall apart, right? And so I guess the thing is, do we justify the cost by playing it enough? Or, and I love this, I saw this on a meme a couple weeks ago, and it's so true. Like, books are no longer books, they're just shelf trophies for all of our Audible collections.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, don't tell anybody that.
Right? So our board games kind of like, are they the new trophies for like something else? Like, not for video games, but for something else. Like, I don't know. Our board game collections, the new trophies, but yeah, I love how books are now my shelf trophies for my Audible collection because it's so true. If I listen to the book on Audible and I love it, I buy the physical copy. Mm-hmm. And then when people come by, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I read that. Yeah, I read that." Yeah, you feel smart.
That's what my board game collection. People come down the basement and I'm like, "Look how smart I am." I know the rules to 3 of these off the top of my head. Yes. Of games. It's like, do you know how to play all these? And I'm like, yes.
With enough time.
You're like, no, but I know someone in Canada who does.
Like that. Given infinite time, I can do anything.
I just FaceTime.
There you go.
He just sent you a watch it played video back.
There you go.
He would.
So the next thing on the news here, I think even though this game, I don't even care that much about it, but the news around it I think is huge. This is Masters of the Universe, the board game Clash for Eternia from CMON is coming back out and being reprinted, but it is going to GameFound, which I think is huge. The fact that CMON is having a campaign, even though it's a reprint, on GameFound. Because CMON is like the big...
Is this their first?
This is the first time CMON has ever come to GameFound. So, and this just got announced today, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, the fact that CMON, which is one of the biggest, like Kickstarter or crowdfunding, like companies, is taking a chance on GameFound is pretty huge. So like GameFound, I mean, they have one of the biggest campaigns going right now, of course, with the Nemesis. And then all these other companies are jumping onto GameFound also. Makes me happy because, even when last night, I'm going to be honest, when last night they said, oh, we're going to bring it back to GameFound again, I was like, we did GameFound, you know? But I'm kind of excited that it's like growing because GameFound is made by the company that made Awaken Realms, or made by Awaken Realms. So it's like a board game company who's selling board games as a crowdfunding campaign. So it kind of is keeping everything within the board game community. It's made by gamers and for gamers. And then also like they're getting all these other big players on board, you know? So it's kind of cool to see everything kind of come together. So it'll be interesting to see.
Man, my Achilles heel with GameFound is they've introduced stretch pay to a lot of
yes,
things.
it's terrifying, right?
You don't have to fork out the $300 up front. You can have 6 easy payments of whatever over the course of 6 months, and it feels okay.
Yeah,
7 payments of $15.57 if you back Nemesis Retaliation right
there
now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not that I'm looking at it exactly right in front of me.
It's a lot easier.
I'm at the Pledge Now page.
A lot easier to justify.
That's like man, this is like a year of Netflix or whatever. It's like I could afford this for a year of Netflix,
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Babe, are you gonna come over? Are we gonna Masters of the Universe and chill?
Exactly. But I wonder if they'll ever. I mean, I guess this is maybe CMON testing the waters to see if this is going to go well for them, and like maybe they'll bring one of their full on instead of just a reprint, like a full on launch of a new game on here. It'd be interesting to see. So,
well, I guess I'm wondering though, is CMON doing this because Kickstarter recently has had? I don't know. It hasn't been Kickstarter itself has been having issues, but I've noticed some of the games that I've backed that have been on Kickstarter have not been funding, and Kickstarter has been getting some backlash. So are they doing that because it is just struggling right now? Like are they jumping on board GameFound to maybe have more freedom or something like that? Like I don't know because I've never done a campaign like this, but I would love to know the exact reasons. Is Kickstarter starting to sink ship?
I think it's.
I mean,
I think if you're a big player, then especially if you're coming out with a reprint or something like this, it doesn't necessarily hurt you to like dip your toe in the water of like that another crowdfunding platform, especially if you're like, well, let's see how well it does, because you want to be able to build an audience there so that way, because I mean, a lot of these big companies, they continue to be big because they're able to have the mailing list of all the people from all of their old projects. Or they're like, okay, cool, we're launching a zombie side. We're going to ping everybody from the last zombie side and tell them that the new zombie side is out. And that gets huge. Well, if GameFound starts getting more and more market share and you don't at least have a toe in there, you're not going to have that same mailing list there, So you kind of want to be able to like play the field and figure out what's going on with everything. And I'm sure that GameFound is like cutting them the best deal ever, to come over to the platform. Yeah. It's free if not GameFound actually like paying them for it,
There's I'm sure board game reviewer I like to watch. Have you guys heard of Board Game Co. or Board Game Co.?
I mean, I was on the phone with him yesterday, yes.
Really? You were on the phone with him yesterday?
Well, yes. Well, no, not on the phone. Like literally for the thing I was talking about where we announced it. Actually, let me just do this. I was on the video call with him, and I was part of the video thing where they're announcing. Wait, let's see. Here's me. Here's my
announcing Masters of the Universe.
They're announcing Masters of the Universe with the other stuff, but look here. Here's me with the dude, Mr. Alex Radcliffe.
Oh heck yeah!
There we go.
Anyway, talking about last night. Yeah, now he's.
Well, yeah, I watched the stuff, and he doesn't say CMON. He's like, "Come on, games, come on, games." I'm still old school word.
I'll never do it.
Come on,
yeah, I'll never do it. That was the weirdest decision. Nope, do not support.
I mean, I think
there's a lot of GameFound stuff though, and
well, yeah, he's specific. Like, he works for GameFound, so.
And then he does work for GameFound, and he does say that. But one of the videos that he'll do is he'll say, "Hey, here's how it's crowdfunding this week, and here's these games that are doing well." And when he does that on GameFound stuff, some of the numbers he's throwing out there for some of these games, I'm kind of surprised on how well they're doing. So maybe Come On Games, will be the first one to, blow it up huge.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Nemesis right now is doing it.
No, I'm talking about, like out of the bigger companies, because Come On's bigger than Awaken Realms.
Oh yeah, and like pulling it. I don't know. Awaken Realms is.
Yeah, they've gotten pretty huge.
Is on par, if not bigger. Like I think they're pretty much like right there with each other.
Overall sales though, with all the stuff that Come On has,
dude. Have you seen all these Awaken Realms games? They make a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah, even the Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea rerun right now is over 250,000. I was just browsing in here right now. It's like. And that's been a while. I mean, that's been a while. People are still throwing 250,000, which I'm glad. It's a good game.
Right. And I mean, if Gameland starts moving like their Tiny Epic stuff over there, That would be crazy. I mean, a lot of people are doing these reprints on there, but when people start doing their big campaigns on there, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I mean, Kickstarter needs to do something to not lose too much of the market share, especially if the big companies are all moving over. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and start talking about the games we've been playing. Starting with Adam.
So I won't go on about Clank. I just played a big old game of Clank.
I love Clank.
I'm sure. I know. I love Clank so much. I hadn't played Clank in a while. I broke it out. Got the little adventures party, whatever it's called, with the asymmetrical little dungeon delver abilities out. Played it with the little dungeon delver shaped meeples this time, and my old friend played with me. It was great. It's such a good game. Just a reminder that I think Clank is just, and I don't own Clank Catacombs yet, but this definitely made me realize I need to grab it.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Clank is just one of those games. Like it's just in my top 10 games always, I think, because it's like, oh yeah, I'll play Clank. It's one of the 3 games I know how to set up and play without having to read the rules.
There you go.
So there's that. But yeah, it's a super fun game. Again, I won't belabor exactly what it is. I'm pretty sure anyone who listens or watches knows, because I know we've talked about it. We talked about Catacombs a bit when Ruthie was hot on that. So yeah, it's a great game. It's a super, super fun deck building game that also has a push your luck, pick up and deliver mechanic on a board. So put those two together. It's great. Everyone should play it.
Do you always try to get the biggest treasure when you play, or do you? How far do you press your luck? Or do you just play it by ear, depending on how the other players are playing?
I like to read the room. I went for the 30-pointer in this game, but I did end up losing by 9 points to my son. It was a devastating, everyone right around the 100-point mark finish.
Man.
Yeah, it was. Everyone got out. I think his girlfriend, she had played it for the first time, and she managed to get out on the last turn. She could get out before I had advanced over and killed her. So yeah, it was, and that's the thing about it too, is I feel like it always has these photo finishes where it's you reach a point in the game where you stop paying attention to what everyone's picked up because you're like, oh no, I need to get out of the depths and then hopefully out of the dungeon entirely so that I don't die and I can get those 20 bonus points for successfully pushing my luck. It just always has a really fun ending like that too. I like that about it, where it doesn't just go, it's over. Just start counting. There's always a little bit of a run at the end of that game, which is exciting.
Yeah, Clank Legacy is my favorite Legacy game that I've ever played. It's just so full of story and stuff like that. So it's if somebody ever has the chance to if you want to play a massive amount of Clank Legacy is just so good. It's basically Clank. It's playing Clank, but then adding in Ryan Lockett stories or storybook type stuff into a Clank game where you're uncovering and doing stories and writing on cards and ripping up cards and stuff like that. But it's so good. It's so good.
Clank the HBO miniseries.
Exactly. And it's based off the Penny Arcade D&D campaign, which is kind of cool too. But yeah, Clank's awesome. All right, Matt.
Man, so I played a couple of games at Rob's little game day that we had. The first one I was going to talk about is Brian Boru. Kent brought it. It's the first time I'd played it. I've seen it kind of all over the place, but I do have a bit of the same thing with Rob, where it's oh, hey, what does this look like? A little beige for my taste. So
it looks like Athos, bro.
It does a little bit.
When we started, we were like, wow, this map is drab.
They reprinted the Ethnos map.
Right. It was the map, it's not too bad. It is a little drab, but
my favorite part though is Ken is man, don't you guys love this art?
Oh, okay.
Was he being sarcastic or was he being for real?
No, he was man, I just love the art. And the cover, the card art doing it justice. The cover is better, but he was man, don't you guys just love this art? Doesn't this look so good? Rob, don't you think this looks so good? And I'm
No.
I mean, I really enjoyed the card art. The card art, I think, was great. The map art, But like this is just a super simple little game. Everybody that you play with, there's 25 different cards, and it's basically sort of like a trick taking game.
It was fun.
Each round, first player says, "Hey, we're going to fight over this territory," and everybody plays out a different card in different suit colors, and highest number wins. But you get to go through and do different powers on the cards based on
win or lose.
Yeah, win or lose. If you
sometimes you want to lose because the losing power might help you better than the winning power.
Yeah. And so that's why you may want to play off suit because you're able to advance on another track or something like that. And you're like, I don't really care about this area over here. But it's a really neat sort of area control game, and it was one of those games that I thought was very simple. Like there's not a whole lot of rules going on. There's a couple of different things that you can do. The information's pretty much out there, and so you're just always like, okay, well, let me do this. Oh no, he played that. Okay, great, neat. But it just has a lot of really interesting interaction, and it's not too much of a brain burner, but it really gives you that kind of dudes on a map feel without that, because it's just very
discs on a map.
Yeah. And I was genuinely surprised by it because when we pulled it out, it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like Ethnos, where you put it out and you're like, man, this game is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was Brian Boru. I really enjoyed it. And the other one I'm going to be quick about, Thunder Road Vendetta.
I love this game.
I had not played Thunder Road since we played the original.
Yeah, forever ago.
Like a decade ago.
Yeah, it was a really long time ago.
And I just remember that going, wow, this game looks crazy, because I don't even think I was playing it. I think I showed up after the game started, and I was like, this is wild looking. And so I had my copy, but it's still sitting here in shrink like everything else I own. And so we busted it out, and it was an absolutely off-the-rails wild time. Rob died like
this
turn
really
two.
seems like this is like the perfect game for our game group,
It's
I died so fast.
It was so good. It was so good. And then it was like right at the end, it was like me, Dustin, and one of the other guys we were playing with were all like neck and neck, and it was looking like I was going to win. And then Dustin pulls some slick move, and he like stops me in my tracks, and then just like burns around and ends it. And I was like, man, this is a solid game. It's so
yeah, chaotic. I could see playing this with like Ryan and AJ over and over again all the time,
Oh yeah. Lots of laughs. Just it's a nutty game that is absolutely delightful.
So much fun.
Yeah,
so much fun. I'm glad we finally played it. And yeah, I love the components. I love how thick and heavy the dice are too. And then I love how if you are a heavier car, you get to, or if you're a lighter car, you don't get to roll the extra dice. But if you're the heavier car, you do. And other items, like it's a great game, and it will turn on you real quick.
Oh, for sure.
I lost 2 cars before my third turn.
I've been. It's so funny. It's like this is a modern game it's a remake of an older game, but it's still a current game from an extremely well-known company. Straight up player elimination. Done, gone,
absolutely.
Dead.
Yeah.
But the game ends quickly after that. It's like, well, somebody just gets to the end now that somebody's dead.
And then the third way my car died, I tried to get out of the area, and then I rolled a dice that launched me right into a wall. So my third car was dead. I was trying to get around, and all of a sudden something happened, and I had rolled that purple dice, and it went back one, and boop, my car's dead. Just
I kind of love the mechanic of like the hazards, where like there's all these hazards, and you don't know what they are, but the person that's in the front is the one that's flipping the hazard. So it's kind of slowing them down, or they're either having to go around them and avoid them, or run straight through them, and who knows what's going to happen. You're going to hit a landmine and go exploding in a random direction. You're going to hit a ramp and just go straight into a brick wall. It's just so zany and so fun.
You guys know Kent?
I've never heard of him.
Before the game starts, he's like, hey, guys, like, because Kent, he's very chaotic. Yeah. And so if you're looking at Matt's picture, there's like that little valley where you only have to drive through it. And Kent's like, it'd be a really smart idea if you guys put a couple of helicopters in part of this valley area. Because if anybody ends their turn there, they got to get blown up. Well, that's what happened to one of my vehicles. And then everyone was just getting shot at by these helicopters that were just happening. And everyone's like, yeah, I love that idea. So by the end of like the first round, all of our helicopters are out and they're shooting at people. It was pretty intense. And everyone's like, oh, so just in this one little 2-lane area, in this 2-lane area, we can do this.
Yeah. It was helicopters and hazards galore. And then we played. One of the guys had the motorcycles, and it was like full on like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like side scrolling beat 'em up. Like the bikes are just flying all over the place, and it's just like, okay, yeah, this is nuts.
Yeah, forget those bikes. Bikes are jerks.
Yeah,
but yeah,
oh man,
such a fun game.
It was fun, and also back to his Burrow game, the previous game. You know what? Outside of looks, that was a fun game. That Brian Burrow game. That was a fun game. It wasn't that bad. Like I would definitely play again. I like the mechanics of it. I thought it was real simple. The way you were able to do stuff, and I love the trip taking thing because you think you have good cards. Because we were talking about reshuffling after the first, and I was like, no man, I feel like I have pretty good cards. Lost every single trip, but I won in some aspects because again, the losing card allows you to do things where. You might be more advantageous for you, where you can move up on the marriage track, or you can move up on the church, or you can move up on this influence or fighting Vikings and stuff like that. And so I got up pretty high in some of that stuff. It was a lot of fun.
As the old Kent special of, hey, I know what you're going to think. But
and he said that too.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
just like a prop, give this a try. It's just like, hey man, just give it a go. It'll go down
card that says,
"Will I promise?"
The card says "Wheat Trader." Don't get upset.
Oh man,
but it was fun. It was a good game.
Because you can trade it for some oats, Rob. Some oats. You can trade the wheat for
not
some
just
oats.
Wheat, but for yeah. No, it was like that, Adam. But I think you like it too. It was fun, and it wasn't. The trip taking part was also kind of fun because then it was like, okay, well, I need to pay attention to what cards they have. So it's one of those things where you're not really walking away from the table because you'll miss out on a lot more than you realize. So
yeah, and it's also a draft. It's also a draft. I didn't even mention that. So like you know what cards you're passing to people, and so you're like, well, yeah, the 25's out there, so I don't need to do this on this round until I see it come out.
Or when you get that card, you're like, crap. It's like when we play Blood Rage. Why did you pass me this? Why didn't you take this? What am I missing?
Right. What are you doing?
Hold on. What are you doing? So it was a lot of fun. Good suggestion, Kent.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can get into Rob's games.
Bro, so before we get into Last Light, that same weekend, Kent came up early for a Lorcana tournament, and then afterwards, he came to the house, and my Kickstarter just came in about a month or so ago, Return to Dark Tower.
Yes.
I've really been wanting to play this game. I bought this game off of the recommendation of Kent and Courtney talking about how much that they love the game. And so I was like, hey, Kent, you're coming to the house. Why don't you teach us how to play? So myself, Kent, my wife, and my oldest daughter, we started playing around 10:30 at night, which I thought was going to be a problem because my wife and stuff, I love her to death. She's an amazing woman. But if you're going to get into a sort of in-depth game, it needs to be earlier because she's typically in bed by like 9:30, 10. And we didn't start playing this game till 10:30. But we were still punching stuff. We were separating stuff. They absolutely loved it. A couple of things. First, and shout out to Kent. Marlo was like, you know what? Your Kent friend, he's a really good teacher of games. And I'm like, real quick, you need to stay in the lane, woman. I'm the best teacher in this house. But I didn't say that. But in my head, I said that. But she was like, he's a really good teacher of board games. I really like the way he explains stuff. And I'm like, well, it's really app-driven. He didn't do a lot because I'm just jealous of Kent because he is amazing at teaching board games. But Return to Dark Tower, it is a co-op game where it is 1 to 4 versus the tower. It is an app-driven game, so you do need to download the app to play the game. But my favorite part about the whole game is the flippin' tower itself. That tower is so amazing. I don't know if you guys have played with this yet, but the tower's got a Bluetooth thing that syncs up with your device. And as you put in skulls, that's what activates the tower, and it starts to move around and spin around. And then as the game goes on, different parts of the tower will light up, and you got to remove doors, and then you got to it'll drop out more scrolls, or as you remove doors, it'll put a rune on you where you can or can't do certain things. And then the app is telling you, hey, this area got attacked, or trolls or whatever went to this area. Because at the beginning of the game, you pick out your enemies, you pick out your characters, and you pick out your boss.
That's so good.
And so the app builds the game around what you've chosen. Sammy, this is the game I was talking about. Marlo was saying that Sammy and Nick would love this game. It was so so much fun. The quality was fantastic. I love the playmat, but beyond the playmat, just the skulls and the miniatures and the cards and everything. The app makes it so easy to play.
For sure.
The app helps out so much. And even my daughter. Now, my daughter, she was getting a little weirded out because, like, the tower growls at you at certain points, depending on your stuff. And she's like, what is this noise? And so it's kind of freaking her out. But after that weekend, so that happened. And then, like, the following Monday or Tuesday, they were like, man, we really liked Return to Dark Tower. Do you think we could play Return to Dark Tower again? And I never really expected that. We ended up playing till like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. We beat our boss. We all ended up staying and loving it. I thought Marlo was gonna like it. I didn't realize she was gonna like it as much. And then she was saying about our friends Sammy and Nick. She was like, you know who'd really like this? I really think Sammy and Nick and some of our other D&D people would really like this game. But it's a co-op. The map is separated into regions, north, south, east, and west, and you are doing missions based off of whatever the app says happens in that region. And you can't get so many skulls in an area, and you got to watch out for bad guys in an area. And there are certain things that are happening, and you might get curses put on you, or you might get hurt. And if you get hurt or get curses put on you, then you can and cannot do certain actions, and you can't move as far, or you can't do special abilities. And each character is unique, and they offer special abilities, and there's ways you can upgrade your characters, and there's ways you can get items and stuff.
I think you get to explore dungeons inside the app and stuff like that. It's pretty cool too.
Oh,
there's so many cool things.
We didn't even get to all that.
Oh wow,
we didn't even get to all that. But we played a pretty generic, like, simple game because he was teaching us. But we finished the game. We killed the boss, and what's cool about it all being co-op, I picked a guy. I was that red guy. I can't remember his name, but it gave me a lot of troops.
Brutal Warlord.
Yeah, I ended up going against the final person with like 30-something troops. And so whenever you're doing your combat, the combat will say, hey, give up so many troops, or give up so much of this. And I sort of was not alpha gaming it, but I was playing my character because when you pick your enemies, it'll say in the bottom of the enemy card, this person is human and stealth, or this person is undead and this. And so the equipment you get can give you bonuses based off of who you're fighting. And the boss was like undead and stealth. And so a lot of the equipment I was getting was good against undead and stealth. Yeah. So by the time I got to the final boss, I had like 4 or 5 of those little chips that allows you to take down a threat.
Yeah.
And I wrecked the boss.
Beast him.
But we all worked together. It was a lot of fun. So that's Return to Dark Tower. The presentation, the everything. They do recommend, though, if you do get it, to take out the batteries in between storing because it can mess up the tower, which I did because that tower is amazing and it is everything about the game. And I really do not want to mess up that tower. So
it's so
that
crazy.
was that. Then we played this stupid, silly little game.
I just be quiet as you talk about this.
No, we played last night. So my copy came in Saturday while everybody's at the house. So I'm like, all right, you guys play a couple games. I'm going to unpack this box and open it up. So they started playing a couple games, and I started opening up the box, and it was amazing. The quality of the planets and everything, the quality of the components. And it was kind of funny because, well, it wasn't kind of funny. It was, I got excited because I was like, I remember when this was like nothing. Like, I remember, like, even like before Roy's cool prototype, when he had like the first, like, I remember all the cards and all like the old Twilight Imperium ships and all, and to see it come to fruition was just something special. And to see the dice and to see the light components and to see all the hit markers and to see like the gray and the purple and the gold components, like, that was pretty amazing. Because, like, oh, well, you get to see your friend's vision come to fruition. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this turned out really amazingly. And so I was telling everybody, you guys play a couple games. I'm gonna put this together. And so I was putting all the planets on the bases and putting the things around the planets and opening stuff up and just absolutely loving it. So we played a 5-person player game of Last Light. Dustin, can't stand Dustin. Who likes Dustin?
Nobody likes Dustin.
Nobody likes Dustin.
He won, right? By a lot.
But not by a lot. He didn't win by a lot. It was pretty close. Well, Kent and I got into like a little tit or taff, and so him and I, we were like not like Ruthie and Roy just flat out murdering each other, but we were more like a flirtatious, all right, I'm going to kill a couple of your ships. No, I'm going to kill a couple of your ships. And so I was like, bro, leave me alone. And then he was like, no, leave me alone. And so we ended up getting into it. And Dustin's over here just doing this tech stuff and getting these planets. And then he was in the middle, and I left Dustin alone in the middle so I could be in the middle so I could fight Kent. And I was like, hey, Dustin, just remember I didn't hit you. And I didn't. He's like, yeah, that's fine. And every time like the stuff would turn, he would get more light. And I'm like totally ignoring him because I'm set on destroying Kent. And next thing you know, Dustin's like, yeah, so I'm at 20 light. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm at like 11. Yeah. And so last night, it's a lot of fun. We played. We had a new player. I had a buddy of mine, Dave, who was playing with us, who I play a lot of TI4 with. I wanted him to see it. And he enjoyed it. He said he really liked the game. The thing he likes, though, also about TI4 is like the negotiation, the politics. But he was like, this is a great, quick 4X filler. Like, it's not that TI all day type of a thing, but he definitely will play it again. He really enjoyed it. And so Last Light is a game. I'm sorry, Ray, if I'm confusing anybody. Oh, he's talking about you, Roy, about how you can be on here and the dice tower at the same time. Well, when two parents don't love each other anymore, and no, he works for both. Anyway,
I think it's because the dice tower is live right now. I was there at the beginning of the stream, so if you go back to the beginning of the stream that they're currently live on, I'm there playing the first game. But now I came home, I ate tacos, helped Ruthie set up Spider-Man, and then now I'm on this. So. But if you go to the beginning of that stream, I'm on that stream. So,
hey,
it's magic, Ray. It's magic.
It's magic.
But Last Light is phenomenal, and just the quality of the components and everything. I was able to fit. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this or if I should say this, but I was able to fit everything into one box.
You did?
That box is full.
Yeah,
box
you can fit it all in, but you have to be very strategic.
Send me a picture of that. I texted Roy some compliments after I played it, and then I actually thought about being, hey, did you get this on one box? That was the next thing that went.
I did it. I did it the very first day. Like when I unboxed that unboxing video I did at Gen Con, like I just bagged the stuff up, and like if you have to be very strategic about how you place everything.
You guys provide so many baggies with that game. Like I can play Last Light and make a couple $100 selling weed if I wanted to with all the baggies out there.
Yeah.
There are so many baggies that come with that game. But yeah, it all fits. What's cool about the base box is the areas in the plastic insert, they're real open and wide. So it's not like one of those inserts where the insert ends up wasting a lot of space because of this cool design. No, the insert works well. You have your area where you put your cards and you put your other stuff, but then the other areas are just wide open. So if you do baggy everything, it makes it real easy just to slide in and slide out and move around. So that was nice.
What was I going to say? They'd made trays that will fit perfectly in those grooves. The problem with the trays, though, is like you can't really fit the expansion in there with those trays. It's like you can fit the base game with all the ships and all the trays in there. It's like, yes, solid base game. Here it is for everything. But if you want to have the base game and the expansion, you don't need those extra trays in there. You just bag everything and shove it all in there, which is the way I have it. Yeah. So
that's the way I have it. And I have like all the ships, so all the colors are separated into one bag.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And all the action cards in there with it. I also shove the. I have one right here.
The planets came out so cool.
I shoved the little disc thing in there too with it. So, yeah.
The planets and everything, it's so cool. And then I remember when we first rotated it, even my buddy Dave was like, whoa, you did what? And all of a sudden the stuff is all over the place. That's such a cool concept when you see like the board actually moving around, because you don't expect that for a board game. And so it was a lot of fun. Last Light is phenomenal. I'm really excited and happy for you relaunching in January. So
yeah,
good things, man.
It's crazy because, when I was making the game, I was like, I want to make a 4X game that we can play, because we played 4X games all the time. It's just the fact that we couldn't play them all the time. It's like one time a year I'd pull out TI if I was really nice, be like, please, can I play? Spend a whole day to play Twilight Imperium is like a big ask. Yeah. Even with Heroes of Land and Sea and Eclipse and things like that.
Yeah, that's
those are
3
so
hours.
hard to get to the table. I was like, I want to do that sort of thing, but like quicker. But I still didn't even think that was a good enough reason for the game to exist. I'm like, it still has to be more different than that. Like, it has to have more things that are different than other 4X games to have a reason to exist. And I'm like, this rotating thing makes sense, So
Heroes of Land and Sea is fun. I don't know if I'll ever play it again.
I love Heroes of Land and Sea, but it's so long.
it's so long and it's so busy. There's so much text. There's so much little itty bitty things. That's one of the things I do like about Last Light. Like when you're looking at the rule book, over half of the rule book is just on how to set up the board. That's it. Like if you're playing a 2-player, a 3-player, a 4-player, a 5, like the rules are only a couple of pages. The cards are self-explanatory. It's not a hard game to learn at all. You're not having to read all this. The only time you have to read text, and the text is not even a lot, is when you get a tech card. Like, okay, what can my thing do now? Like, it's a very easy game to learn and how to play the game. Where here's Legendary and I sold that like 6 months after I bought all of that stuff. So I was just like, bro, outside of like Kent and Roy, I am not going to sit down and learn this book of how to play this game.
It's a familiar game. It reminds me a lot of also, as far as 4X games that you can play really quick. It doesn't remind me of this, but it fills this slot because it's a much better game. Is Nexus Ops? Do you guys ever play Nexus Ops?
And Nexus Ops is a huge influence.
Nexus Ops was like, to me, was always such a great game, and I've kept it for all these years, even though it's kind of ugly. It's not it's not as fun because it kind of lacks a little bit of like depth and crunch and variety to each gameplay, unless you have different numbers of folks. But it's, Nexus Ops was always kind of like, I feel like playing 4X, but I only want to play for 45 minutes. You just throw Nexus Ops down. This just torches that. And it just torches. I'm not going to list games because they're games that I like, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But it torches a lot of games. Like, it's, for me, there's 4 or 5 games that like I'll probably keep to look at. But it just, the fact that you can play it as quick as you can play it, and it doesn't feel as, I don't know. I like Nexus Ops, so I shouldn't trash it, but like it doesn't feel as chintzy. You know what I mean? Like Nexus Ops, there's a little chintziness to Nexus Ops. Maybe it's the I don't know, who is it? Avalon Hill or something?
Avalon
probably.
Hill.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
There's an Avalon Hill version and there's a Fantasy Flight version of it. So
I may have the Fantasy Flight version of it.
The Avalon Hill one had like the fluorescent, like almost like neon like units and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I do have the Fantasy Flight version.
But yeah, good stuff. Anyway, I'm excited. People are excited, and it's been fun. So we shall see.
I'm just ready for you to come back, sign my copy, and then I'll reback it.
But you won't be able to play it for the however long it takes for the ships to come back across the ocean.
Yeah, that's fine, though, because other people have copies that I know. And I'll be like Sheldon Cooper, where I'm like, I have Leonard Nimoy's DNA. Like, I'll make like a little gif of that as I sell the copy. You'll have Roy Kennedy's DNA.
You're going to clone me. I don't think they want that.
Sell it to Mark Hale.
Well, I'm going to talk about a different space game, and that is Apiary. I got an opportunity to play this at work. This is the Stonemaier game. Did King and Courtney already talk about this? Maybe they did.
Oh, yeah.
They talked about it. Anyway, I also wanted to talk about it because they're not here. And I can say all the things I want. Anyway, so this is a worker placement game with bees where you're basically putting out your different little bee workers. And the cool thing about this game is that your workers actually like die off. Like they can only be placed so many times and they're going to die off. And then you kind of like use them they go into hibernation or whatever. I'm sure Stonemaier doesn't want people to say that the bees die. But and then you kind of use them as an area control in kind of like a hibernation like comb or whatever that you put them in to get like extra points for different things and little bonuses. This has a bunch of different resource management where you're getting fiber and getting honey and getting water and getting pollen for your bees to be able to get different tiles to kind of put on your ship. You're trying to fill out your ship board to get extra points. You're trying to use these different like tiles, like honeycomb tiles, to kind of like get extra combos and powers. Some of them are like gardens that you can kind of like get more resources or get victory points with. There's some that give you ongoing abilities, and there's some that have instant abilities on them. Some of those tiles though have like really ridiculous stuff. Like some of them are like, hey, put this tile out and get 3 free tiles. It's like, but everybody else is paying like a bunch of resources for those. That seems ridiculously good. But then you also have tiles that are kind of like just straight for victory points that you don't have to spend honey to get. It's pretty interesting. I mean, you have like the explorer area that you're going around getting your resources as well. It's definitely a very interesting game. I'm kind of annoyed. The first time we played, we just started with different units. I didn't realize after I played, I realized there was like tons of bee factions. Like, this game has massive amounts of bee factions, and they all have different cool abilities. So I'm actually really interested in playing this more to try out some of those different bee abilities. And they start with different numbers of starting bee units. And this game is a very interesting worker placement game where you constantly have to be getting new bees because your bees are kind of like dying off as the game goes along. But yeah, that is Apiary, and it's pretty cool. It
looks so good.
First-time designer. I love the cover art of it. It's definitely very worker placement-y, Euro-y, but it has a lot of luck into it. And for some reason, I like Euros with luck. I don't know why. So while all the other Euro players are just kind of
like... you like Champions of Midgard, that's a Euro with luck.
Right. There's something about it. There's something about luck to me that just makes it so that, like, you know, you're not...
Well, it gives you a chance. It gives you hope.
It feels like it's not as solvable. Like, a game that has no luck in it can be solved. And it's like, well, this is obviously the correct answer. If there's luck in it, you have to pivot your strategy. You have to change up what you're doing. You have to go on the fly. It's like, oh, that tile's out there? Well, whatever I was doing is no longer what I'm doing because I need to focus on that now. You know, I love having to do tactics. I don't like strategies that are like, this is the strategy for the game. This is how you're supposed to play the game. No, I want you to have to go off of what the other players are doing, go off what's coming out on the board, go off of those different things. And I kind of enjoy that stuff in games. It makes a game exciting, you know. So
I believe Matt and them played this while I was undoing Last Light. I was getting Last Light.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Matt, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, how would you guys give it a weight rating too? Because that's one of the things I've noticed.
I don't think it's...
people kind of have differing opinions on the weight. I'm just curious how you guys feel.
So I think if no one knows how to play the game, it will take you a bit to get into it. But if there's somebody who is a strong teacher, I feel like it would be a breeze to play. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, if no one knows what's going on, you're going to be like, what is all of these different things? But if I was teaching this game, I could teach it really quickly, and it'd probably be about as hard as me teaching Alien Frontiers or something like that. It actually gives me a really strong Alien Frontiers vibe. It's got dice that you're placing out, and they have different values, because when you get a B to right before it's about to die on a 4, it has extra strength when you're placing it somewhere. So it's not like Alien Frontiers at all, but it gives me that same kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you have your bees and you're trying to strategize where it's like, okay, I want to use this here, but I can't do that this turn. So I need to save him for like 2 turns from now. And it's I don't think it's that heavy. I would say it's probably like easily less than a 3 if we're doing like a BGG scaling. It's just there's a lot that's going on the map at first. So you can definitely sort of get lost with going, okay, so this is that does this. That's a whole thing on its own. I'm just not even going to worry about that this game. But, like, I don't know. I love worker placement games like that where there's so much going on. And it's like it allows me to be able to do stuff and interact with other people in a way that isn't super take that, but also feels very engaging and allows me to kind of do my own little thing. And I get my own little board and I can build my own little hive, and it's great. And the game we played, I got destroyed. I think I was the last person, and the next person in front of me was 20 points ahead. Oh, wow. I got absolutely just wrecked. But I had a blast, and it was one of those Stonemeyer games that it's like, it's pretty simple. So, like, once you get it, it flows really quick. And then at the end of it, I'm just sitting here going, man, I kind of wouldn't mind playing that again if we had more time. I really enjoyed it.
I do think it's a game that you're really going to have to kind of, like, see when, because there's some things that are just really good that can come out. Like, there's tiles that can come out that, like, can get you 3 points every time you basically just recall your bees. It's like, I get 3 points. 3 points in this game is a lot, you know? So, and it's like, wow. And if you're like, oh, there's this tile over here that lets me get that tile for free, it's like, and normally people are paying a ton for that, just being able to see, like, how to chain that stuff together can be, like, really important. And you could get, I mean, I could see people that are really into very, like, strategic games could be a little bit upset about the fact that that tile is so good, or this thing is so good, and it popped up and somebody grabbed it before you even had any chance or opportunity to get it. But for me, I don't know. I like looking games, and I think it's fun, so I still want to play Apiary more, just because there's so many different B factions to try out.
And that was my thing. The faction I played was like it did stuff with wax, and then like the first turn there was a worker bee that was out there that would just generate wax automatically, and I'm like,
awesome.
Oh, cool, I'll just get this. But I didn't have enough of my starter bees like strength to be able to get it first, so Dustin ended up grabbing it first, and I was just like, cool,
Dustin.
what a cool.
And I mean, you kind of do have to hate draft some of the tiles, because some stuff it's like, oh, you get extra points if you have these kind of tiles. Oh, you get extra benefit if you get this sort of resource. So you kind of have to be a little bit aware of the other players' abilities as well, to be like, this is okay for me. It's really good for you. It almost might be too good for you. So you have to pay attention to that sort of stuff too. So it's got that interaction also.
It was also really interesting because it felt like everybody was kind of doing different things on the board. Like I only did like the exploration once, and then everybody else, it felt like they were going over there hitting the exploration constantly, and I was just trading resources in for other things and just doing all sorts of stuff on the other side of the board, which kind of screwed me because sometimes your bees just sit there until somebody bumps you, so you're just like, cool, is anybody gonna come here? Like, please, I need my guy.
Yeah, so rather than like playing for like I'm just thinking of like Champions of Midgard, or I don't know, I could belabor it by thinking of other worker placement games, like let's just make Champions of Midgard the only other game. But rather than being like, I want some exclusivity to this spot, you're hoping to maybe pick a spot someone else is going to give you that free recall from, correct? Like that's kind of how it.
There's technically no blocked spots, so it definitely incentivizes you to choose.
The only thing is you're pushing somebody off if you go there, which is helping them out in some sort of way, which drives me so crazy because literally I have I talked about a game that I was working on. It has like this exact same mechanic. And I know other games have probably done this too, but I'm like, dang, I was playing Apiary. I'm like, I know why I like this, because it's very much like my game. My game, this is nothing like that or whatever, but still, I might have a game come out someday that has similar mechanics to this. Just know it was parallel design, not copying this.
We believe you. We believe you. Just like Emerson's horror game, we believe Emerson.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, good stuff. I thought it was a great game.
It looks so good. I love their board presentation. I want to play it.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess we should get into our topic, which I didn't actually write on here. So we'll just switch this. Raising gamers. So basically, I played a ton of games with my kids over the weekend, and we just played a ton of different stuff. We played several Hoppa games, like I have like this like Zitternix where you're pulling out different tiles. I played this one memory one with like Fierce Dragons or Fury Dragons or something like that, where you flip over tiles and move around a board. It's kind of like a memory match game. I played 13 Clues with my son because he's into like more advanced stuff. I played Wandering Towers with my kids. I just played so many different games with my kids, and it's just cool to see all of my different kids at different varying stages of like how the complexity of what gaming can do. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on like how to raise a gamer. Are there any do's and don'ts you think? And like, I know everyone wants their kid to play the next big gigantic game with them, but what do you think? Where should they start? What should people do when they have a young one looking into getting into games?
Blood Rage.
Yeah.
I just had to get it in.
All right.
No, but
Okay, Tim.
I mean, I think it's a solid game that I think it actually is simple enough for children to understand, even though the theme is a bit like wild. But, you're not actually blood, guts, and gore. It's just, oh, hey, this guy hit this guy with a frying pan. Now he's going to take a nap. But no, I just wanted to get that in for the hilarity of it, because I feel like
frying pan.
We've talked about this before, and my answer at the time was also Blood Rage.
It was.
Oh man,
I think the important thing
where your kids are at, right?
Yeah, know where your kids are at and what they're into. So get games that are that they'll be into. Don't force your kid to play a game that you won't that they won't like just because you want to play it, because it's going to do two things. It's going to make them not like the hobby, and it's going to make you not like that game because now your kids don't like that game because you force them to like it. I think the most important thing about raising kids in gaming is to try to do something of this nature, whether it's a card game or a board game or something. I think it's so important for kids to unplug and turn off certain things, whether it's, even if it's just like not watching Bluey. I freaking love Bluey, bro. I'll watch Bluey. I'll tear up. I don't know if you guys watch Bluey, but bro, Bluey is so good, man. But to turn off the the phone or to turn off the iPad or to turn off the TV or something. Like that social interaction, like the talks I get to have with my family around the dinner and board game table are priceless to me. So I think it's important for you to find some things that your kids may like, and probably if you're new to it, maybe start with like a fun, silly game, and then if you're going to go into a heavier game, I would recommend, especially if you have young kids, I would definitely recommend that you do a co-op game. Mm-hmm. Don't go in there and just murder your kids. You're going to learn how to be a good loser. You're going to learn how to lose right. No, like get your kids into the game and to learn games and do the co-op. And then after they get a co-op, then you murder your kids at Blood Rage. But you don't just like throw them into Blood Rage.
Yeah.
Too soon.
My go-to, I mean, I taught all my kids basically at a super young age is Go Away Monster. It's not even a game. Yeah. It's an activity.
Yeah,
it's not a game because you're not really making any choices, but you're learning to take turns is literally what it is. And you're learning to cooperate, passing the bag around the circle. So, I mean, it's just a game where you're pulling shapes out of a bag. If you get a room feature, whether it's a bed or a lamp or whatever, you just put it on your little board. And if you get a monster, you throw the monster in the box and yell, "Go away, monster." That's like the whole game. But you don't really make any choices. If you draw something that you already have, say I draw another bed and somebody has a bed, you put the bed on somebody else's board. It's just like a friendly little game of pulling tiles out of a bag that just teaches turn taking, basically. And I mean, there's plenty of other games that can teach, like there's a lot of hobby games like Monza, where you're learning the different colors and how to build patterns with the colors and rolling a bunch of dice. There's other games that have plenty of dice in them that are like these. Now we're learning how to roll dice. I've played actually Strike with my kids a lot, which is kind of funny, but it's such a game where there's there's no reading. It's just numbers. And I mean, there is player elimination, but it teaches kids how, like, okay, you're going to accidentally lose. It also is like, has a little bit of a dexterity element to it. Like, don't throw the dice out of the container or you lose the die, that sort of thing.
Right. I think too, it's like, if they grow into it, knowing that there's going to be times, like my kids are a little bit older than Rob's and Roy's, for context for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm the oldest on the podcast, not by much.
I'm 41.
I'm 41. Yeah, I'm like a year and a half older than Rob.
I'm 40 now. All right, I got gray in places that there shouldn't be gray.
I know, it's in the chest, right? That's where it starts coming in, baby. It's coming in on the chest. They say it just moves down. Anyway, my kids are a little bit older. I have teenagers. I have a house full of teenagers, and the ebbs and flows of it too. I think you have to be ready for. There's times when they're going to be your gaming partners, and there's times when they're gonna lose interest in it, and they'll come back if you make it a family thing. I think the big thing in my family is like, my kids will go in spurts now more, and which is just how teens are because they have their own lives. They're little adults at this point, and there's something about our identity as a family, I think. So like my daughter doesn't play anything that plays for an hour, right, or even 45 minutes, and she's grown up in this house where we'll play really long games. My son will play really long games with me, and they're very different animals. But now she actually owns her whole own shelf of all of these crazy just party games, and then like kind of games that are more social games that are geared towards teens. And just knowing that like sometimes I'll just have to go play a bunch of those games with her. My daughter always I can't speak, it's late. She always gravitated towards things like Sheriff of Nottingham, right? Like we played.
Love that game.
And when she was little too.
Your daughter sounds like my wife.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is that was a game that was more like an activity, right? Like she wants the social interaction of the game. She's not that interested in either the strategy or the tactics of the game. In fact, she will get frustrated with it if she feels like she can't do good at it. She would much rather have shenanigans, lying, cheating, backstabbing, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas my son will sit down and play like bigger. I remember he was when the heck? What year did Scythe come out? I think he was 8. He's 16 now. Yeah, that's probably 7 or 8 years ago. Right? 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's 9. But he said Scythe is not like an incredibly complex game, but for a 9-year-old, he'd sit and play it. He beat me, and I think you have to know where your kids are at and then play to those strengths, right? So they're all going to play a little different. If you have a family of gamers, you're all going to have to meet in the middle on games eventually. Like, just because you're the big gamer in the family doesn't mean that your tastes are going to translate to everyone. That's kind of where I'm at. I have games that my wife plays. I have games that my daughter plays. And my son is kind of like me. He's like, I'll play anything. He's like, whatever. Like, if I'm in the mood to play, I'm going to play whatever is in front of me. But
Adam, are you saying that if we're raising gamers, we need to learn how to compromise?
You're going to have to. If you want them to love it, right? I think that's the thing. Like, you don't have to let a kid win, but you also, like, don't have to punish them for figuring out how games work. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Let people make errors, and don't spend your time correcting them at the table. That works with some adults. Like, if Kent corrects me 13 times when we're playing a huge game, he's going to be like, hey, no, this is what you got to do. With my kids, it's more like, oh, actually, we should have been doing this, it turns out. Let them make the mistake when they're little, or and kind of gently guide them in towards it so the experience is positive. I think with children, just like with adults that you introduce to gaming, the intimidation that they have is doing it wrong. They don't want to do it wrong and be embarrassed. So I think if you make sure that that's not part of it,
right,
they'll eventually learn, and they'll respect the games, and that they have rules and stuff as they get a little bit older. And I'm super grateful for, like Rob said, the family time that games have given me in the community that it gives me.
And it's so cool to see, like, as like, because I started off with super young hobby games and small things like that, and my two oldest are starting to like graduate towards playing bigger and bigger games. They still like to go back to the old games some, but like my son now is like playing the Pokemon card game, and like actually I've played it a little bit here and there, but like he's actually understanding like the strategy and the timing of the cards and how to switch out. I'm gonna pull this character back now and attack with this one. It's like, wow, it's weird. It's almost surreal for me to see that sort of thing. It's like, oh man, he's like actually getting this stuff. And I took
a baby boy's growing up.
Yeah, I know. I took Pokemon over to my coworker Chris's house because he had talked about wanting to play it with his daughter, and we taught her how to play, and she played versus Scotty, and she actually won really quick, mostly because whatever. But then he played versus Scotty, and Scotty had this long-term strategy and ended up beating Chris in the game or whatever. And just seeing that sort of thing happen is just like, I was like, oh wow. And it kind of like what he was doing like long term ended up paying off just because he played the deck before, he knew what was going on. But it's just really cool to see him putting all that together, because like I couldn't come back, I couldn't stop him, which was pretty cool. But yeah, and it's just interesting to see as your kids grow up and asked to play bigger games and different games. The whole reading comprehension thing is just such a big step in gaming in general. It's like, holy smokes, I don't have to play games with just symbols and colors now. It's like we're playing games that are like, oh, dad, they're reading things and understanding. Like, Scotty will look at an alien in Last Light and then tell me what he can do with it. And I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy to me.
That's what they do to you, man. They just keep growing up. It's
yeah.
I've yet to figure out a way to slow it down. It's
one of the greatest things ever when you're playing with your family and you're having it's like that old, cheesy family commercial. But it really is that thing. You're playing with your family, you're having a good time, and you're just connecting. You're building memories, and so yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Wait till they become those crazy teenagers, like in Adam's case, then destroy them, because like you're a teenager, you don't. But yeah, just try to do something, and like Adam and Roy were talking about, compromise. It can't always be about what you want to play all the time. Because then you'll just push them further away from it. So,
I think about how engrossed I was in gaming, and when I started, my dad was really big into gaming and teaching me games growing up. I played role-playing games and things like that. But I realized like Scotty, my son, has started even younger than I did. So I'm like, oh no, there's no hope for you. You're in on the deep end. I have even more games than my dad. Well, my dad has a lot of games, but I have even more games than my dad did at the time, So it's going to be crazy to see.
Oh yeah. It's a blast. Yeah, and our kids, I think all of our kids, are going to be screwed when it comes to that, because I'm definitely starting a lot earlier with my kids, than what happened with me. So, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a good thing too.
I think it teaches some curiosity and patience and rule following and things like that. Well, I mean, I don't want to say rule following. We're not raising any bootlickers around here, man.
I about to say, you said your daughter only likes social deduction games, so she just learned how to lie to everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, but it gives them these different little skills, and I do think that it gives them something that's interesting for them to talk about and share when their friends come over and they come down here and they see all of these games. My kids, it's really interesting to see how they respect it too. They understand that some of them are expensive and that they're fiddly, the pieces or something like that. And I don't police it, but they don't give me a reason to. They've never given me a reason to need to. I think they understand that like this is this big thing that we kind of have as a family, and it's unique, right? Their friends want to see it when they come over. It's kind of like if you're maybe not a lot less expensive, but it's like if your dad had a couple classic cars in the garage, maybe about two.
Just thinking, it's much easier to explain that your dad's board games and you're like, and this is his model train room. You don't go in there, okay? You can look, but you cannot get foot in there. This is not.
Yeah,
it's a like whole different thing.
Yeah, it's a version of that I think is intriguing, and like I said, I just hope that you're giving them something that they'll remember, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing about it that I think that is important, is that you're building those memories and those bonds with them. And I think
and also it can toughen you up physically. I mean, I remember the first time I ever played Happy Salmon, I busted Scotty's and I still tell people about it every time. And my favorite part about that, not that I condone hurting children, because I don't at all, but my favorite part is Roy was like, Scotty will be fine. Anyway, high five.
Listen, I had to get through that deck. Like, come on.
Yeah, he only had two cards left.
It was so great because the game lasts 30 seconds anyway, so we knew like Scotty would be okay. And there was blood. Like, if you've seen me, I got big old hips. I'm a big dude, and that left hip, I was doing a switcheroo, and Scotty was in the wrong place at the table, and I just and Roy was like, you're fine. Happy salmon. It was great. I tell that to everybody whenever I'm introducing them to the game. I'm like,
he was getting pretty advanced at games, but after that moment, I had to go back and start teaching him some more of the simpler games. It was kind of weird. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You get spiky dastards out now with the teens. We throw it out on the table.
Holy smokes!
Like, go full. We're going full.
Spiky dastards is insane. Like I've played that with Ruthie's friends a few times, and it gets intense.
Bro, it hurts, man.
What a great,
especially when you get in between your fingernails.
What a great game! What a great game! I don't think you can buy it anymore either, can you? It's like,
I think it's on Amazon.
Oh, is it? Okay, I think for a while it was hard to get. I don't know if it was popular or if somebody was like, maybe we made a mistake.
Like one of those toys where it's like too many people got hurt, like one of those garbage pads.
Yeah, lawn darts.
Yeah.
It's hard to even buy actual steel darts anymore. You go into like a department store and then they sell the magnets and the plastic. You have to go to like a bar supply, like a billiard store, to buy real darts, because no one wants to put that in their basement and have their kids throw it in each other's eye. But you know what? Come to my house, Spiky Dastards is on top of the shelf at the very end in the cone, baby. You want to turn the lights off, throw it on the floor, just run to the other side of the basement? We can do that. That's the expansion.
That's a whole new game.
Bro, that cone is
insane. You get to the
insane.
end first, you get to put socks on.
Oh man, good times.
Lord.
I love it. But yeah, it's really cool to see, like, and because I mean, I came up playing board games for my dad, and I mean, some of my like greatest memories through childhood is like playing games with my dad. And I feel like it's a great way to bond with your kids and like make like lasting memories throughout all this stuff. I mean, I was reading a thing online the other day that said like before like you spend 90% like 90% of the time that you will spend with your kids is like before they turn 13, you know, and then you have like a little bit, well, not 90%, it was like 75% before they turn 13, and then it like by the time they turn 18 you spent like 90% of the time you'll spend with your kids, you know, and then you have like another 10% in their adulthood years, you know. So it's like spending time around the table playing games, I think, is like a really good way to spend that time, you know, because you're able to make those interesting connections and like be able to like
have those quality moments, you know. And maybe if you get them addicted to games, they'll come back to play them again, you know.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, that was like, I don't have a kid. I babysit my girlfriend's niece occasionally, and so, we're trying to do stuff, but she's 2, so it's, hit or miss. But, like, some of my fondest memories of childhood was just sitting down and playing, like, Trouble or Life.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, man, I got the Pop-O-Matic. I've got the little spinny wheel thing. It's a lot of fun for kids, the tactfulness of it, And then you get into the gameplay of it. It's like, oh man, this is really neat. This is really cool. And I just have, probably some of my fondest memories from childhood, because it's some of the last times that I can remember my parents sitting around like happily together. Because when you're a child of divorce, stuff that doesn't always work out, and you don't always have the best memories of things. But it's like that is always something that I'll carry with me, is just sitting on the bedroom floor playing Trouble. And just like yelling at each other because it's like, oh man, you pushed my guy back. But like, it was a lot of good fun, and it's, I didn't play board games after that for like a really long time because it just wasn't something that my parents would really do. But I think it definitely helped keep that curiosity in me for whenever I started working with Roy, and Roy's like, my board games, and I was like, ooh. Hang on, there's some stuff that doesn't look like Life or Trouble. That seems interesting. So,
to be fair, you already watched Will Wheaton play board games, so.
But like
you did at that point. There's a familiarity to it, right? When you return to it, there's a familiarity. The games that give you that feeling might change because you're from being a kid.
Yeah,
like the game might change, but like the being in that audience doesn't change. I think like my family plays board games a lot. My mother plays, my brother, my sister, and my sister-in-law play. As we've gotten into the hobby, the games have gotten more complicated, right? Especially with the adult group. Like when we all first started doing it when we were younger, it was like Ticket to Ride, Yeah, you'd play Sequence or something like that, and that felt like, wow, this is like a little bit different than others. So the first time I ever played Betrayal at House on the Hill, you're like, wow, this is different. This is a little different than other things I've played. And that part of it will evolve because you become harder to surprise. But like, there's no doubt if I go stay at my mom's house, even now, I'll crash there overnight and it's like, oh, hey, I brought something. You want to play Fox in the Forest? And my mom, I never played that. So me and my mom played Fox in the Forest over there, like this summer when I had to stay for work or something. I was down in Detroit for work, and that stuff's going to stick with your kids too. And I think that's what I was trying to bring back. Like those memories, you're giving that to them, right? Like it becomes your golf course. It's a golf course for a nerd, right? That's really what it is. I don't golf. I cannot golf. I have this and a fly rod. That's what you get out of me. I can't do a lot of other things really well. So I can't play board games or fly fish very well either. I just do them.
Yeah, it's a good fun activity. I don't know. And like the tagline of the show, it increases connection, it builds stories, relationships. It just, I think that's one of the things, like even what Roy said, is like, once your kids get into that 10% thing where they're kind of off on their own, they always have a touchstone that they can go back to, whether it's going back to dad's house and sit down and playing an old game that they haven't played in 5-6 years, or continuing that hobby with their new friend group and trying to sort of uphold a tradition kind of that you started.
I still look forward to going back and playing games with my dad even now, we play stuff all the time. It'll be like, okay, well, the kids are in bed, like my kids are now in bed, let's bring out a game, or like we'll play games together with the kids, which is fun as well. It's like, okay, we'll play a kids game, and then okay, now the kids are in bed, now we'll play a game like that oh, we used to play this, we'll play Eldritch Horror, we'll play this or that, we'll play Zaya or something. It's always fun to actually have the time to still bring stuff out. And sometimes bring back the old classics. You don't always have to be playing the newest, hottest game. A game that you've had for a decade sometimes is like the best thing, to bring out. It's like bringing back those memories and playing a game, I'm
going to play Last Night on Earth on Christmas Eve for sure. Horrible. It's such a... It's one of those great, horrible games. And my family loves it. Not because it's a new or exciting game, but because it's going to be a ridiculous experience that everyone's familiar with, you know?
Right. And it's cool to have those
Didn't
like
they just
almost
release
traditions.
like the anniversary edition of that game too?
What was that?
Didn't they just release the anniversary edition of that game?
I hope
Actually,
I hope they have an anniversary edition of that game where they got the exact same people that are on the cover to be back on the cover again, but just older.
The actors are all older. Dude, for anyone listening, if you've never played Last Night on Earth and you want a zombie experience that is going to be frustratingly simple mechanically, wildly unbalanced. Okay, this game makes Last Night seem like a Euro for sure. Last Night on Earth is like you get the dual chainsaw card or something. There's all these cards that just break everything. All the weapons are overpowered, or it's roll to move. Play that game. It's great. It's a great game.
Okay.
And I have the whole thing painted. I think almost close to it. Anyway, 80% of it
awesome.
painted. Yeah, not very well because the miniatures are horrible.
You better not paint it well. It has to be painted bad.
Yeah, you can't paint it good.
Yeah.
It's physically impossible. Oh man, I would love. It would be so like you guys should do a photo shoot where you like reenact the cover and then paste yourselves onto the cover with it all photoshopped up. That'd be hilarious.
Oh,
Not a bad idea.
Let's see if somebody recognizes or doesn't realize. And be like, is that you guys on the cover?
Actually, put it on your wall.
Could you imagine that's your Halloween costume? You go as the cover of Last Night on Earth. Oh, dude, that would be
As a
so
group?
great. The deepest nerds only. No,
You have to be at a convention for people to be like, "Oh yeah, no, I get it."
I don't even
Yeah,
know. I feel like most newer board gamers aren't even gonna know what Last Night on Earth are at this point.
Yeah, because the only thing Flying Frog that like still sells, I think, is Shadows Over Brimstone. Like that,
Yeah.
people still kind of play through those because there's so many campaigns. Last Night on Earth is like I said, it's not a great game.
No, it's all nostalgia.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, are you going to worry about the rules a whole lot? How do we deal with this? Everyone looks at each other and goes, "I think we deal with it like this." I mean, that's how you're playing that game.
Yep.
And if you pick the rule book up too many times, you're doing it wrong, okay? Because it'll probably make it worse.
Ben in chat says that Last Night on Earth was his first tabletop game ever, and that he loves it. That's awesome.
Yes,
we got one.
Oh man.
One of my favorites of all time, and it's honestly just because of the memories. And then I think I painted them. It was the first time I ever painted miniatures of that game. So my version of it, I used a pair of needle nose pliers, and I dunked them in like varnishing finish so that they would get the little shadows, like fill in the cracks on them, and they'd kind of get 3D, and then it would coat them with urethane. So I literally have urethane coated miniatures. You can still smell it when you open it.
Yeah.
I love it.
The perfume comes out.
Well, I think the cardboard absorbed the urethane smell. I don't think the plastic likely smells like it anymore. But you open the box and it smells a little bit like someone just finished a floor.
Yeah, there's the 10-year anniversary edition for sale right now on Amazon for $85.
See, I don't really need it, but I'm gonna look at it.
It's just one picture.
Of course, yeah, they're not wasting their time. But they want to show you what's in that box.
It has 4 new playable hero versions of townsfolk from the original game, new comprehensive rule book, a complete updated version of the classic Last Night, as well as several new additions. Fire rules, first introduced in the Timber Peak expansion, have been integrated into the original game. There's new cards. Man, yeah, this is on my list. I knew it was on my list.
Yeah, you should consider it one day. I'm telling you, it's a blast. Again, do yourself a favor if you're listening. Just go look at the art for this game and know that Flying Frog released with this in expansions, and Shadows Over Brimstone with expansions, and Touch of Evil with expansions, probably no less than 20 boxes with just C-movie actors posing for the art, and
I thought
those same people on all the cards, man. It is all high gloss cards, dude. They're all super glossy.
I thought you were about to say they released an art book for the game.
Oh my god, I wish. there was a behind the scenes DVD of them doing the photo shoots for like the Survival of the Fittest expansion or something, I would like to see like the goth girl with the sledgehammer.
Yes.
Dude, oh, that's my dream, Roy. You got to design a game, and I'm gonna fly down to Florida, and we're gonna do a photo shoot for the box
real
art.
people.
It's gonna just, yeah, I'm gonna bring the whole light kit down on the plane like I used to back in my commercial photography days, and it's all real people. It's Tom Vassell as a murderer or something, or a dragon rider.
We can make sure that there will be no good graphic design to cover it up. You know?
Oh no, graphic
it has
design
to be terrible graphic design.
Yeah, unreadable textured fonts with double outlines, like all that.
We're gonna make sure to have yellow font on a white background. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure it's got something like that in it. It's oh my god. Sorry, we've digressed. My kids also play this game. Okay,
hype.
This is about raising.
But yeah, so really just when it comes to raising gamers, just meet them where they're at and just enjoy the time that you have with them, you know, because when you're raising gamers in a household, eventually they'll leave the household and become gamers on their own. Woo! Like us.
I know. Ben says that the actors went to...
gone too far, so.
Ben says the actors went to conventions. I missed that. I was probably too early in my fandom to go to the conventions when those games were first coming out, but
woo! Adam wants a signed copy of the game by each of the people on each of the actors.
Dude, I would love it. I would love it.
Trying to see if they have an IMDb page. You're like, hang on. See if we can track.
I don't know. It's probably people who worked at Flying Frogs and like their family. If I had,
right? Yeah, they're all friends. Like, hey man, we're doing this photo shoot. Are you available on Tuesday?
Yeah. Or it's like they, at one point in time, it used to be a bunch of old like film school buddies, and like they made a movie that was pretty bad, and they were like, you know what? We're not going to release this, so let's just go ahead, just push it onto a board game.
There you go.
Right.
It's got those vibes. It's definitely got those vibes.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think we will start to wrap this thing up. I do want to say thank you for everybody joining us in chat and hitting us up there. I want to say thank you for Matt for being on the show. Matt's here.
Hey, I mean, it's good to be back. I'll hopefully get to take up my guest spot sometime again soon.
Give us a yeah.
It'll be yeah.
He did say yeah when I yeah.
And Adam, good to have Adam back. He's been gone a couple weeks too.
Yep. Yeah, I just had some work conflicts and things of that nature, but happy to be back. I'm happy that people are in chat. We have the best looking chat out there. I'm not sure what everyone looks like, but you all are handsome and beautiful and lovely. You're almost as good looking as Rob.
Almost
as good looking as Rob. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and I guess we'll see you on the next Epic Gaming Night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.